Welcome, gentle viewer. Upon initially being acquainted with the flat earth literature, it strikes the typical reader that the position of the flat earthers is without reason and hopeless. If the flat earth idea is without merit, then it should be quickly and demonstrably shown to be lacking in reason and refuted. Yet I have not been able to entirely discredit it. I assure the gentle reader that I have applied considerable effort to finding their propositions unreasonable. In the following observations, I will not entertain fantastic conspiracies concerning world governments and our supposed world overlords, reptilian or otherwise, for these esoteric subjects are beyond my limited competency. Therefore, I will bring to the gentle reader's attention 4 specific topics that are readily accessible to the person of average experiences. The distances of the sun and the moon from the earth's surface will not be discussed, not because these topics are uninteresting, but because, in my mind, these are secondary issues that are properly discussed under the subject of cosmology, and not the flat earth theory. Authorities maintain that the moon's gravity pulls the oceans upward to create tides, yet tidal forces are not observed affecting any lakes or rivers. We do not understand why the moon's gravity is effective in pulling the oceans, but ineffectual with other substantial bodies of water. Additionally, if the gravity of the moon is so powerful as to pull the ocean level up, we do not understand why the waters do not continue ascending to the moon. If the Earth's gravity prevents the oceans from ascending to the moon, then we do not understand how the moon can have any effect on the oceans. That is, there should be no easily observable tidal forces due to the overwhelming influence from the Earth's gravity. Authorities explain that the Earth rotates on its axis once a day. The circumference of the Earth, or the distance of the equator, is 24,000 miles, and therefore the equator is moving at roughly a speed of 1,000 miles per hour. And as one moves towards the poles, this speed must decrease as the distance along the latitude decreases. I have not found an adequate explanation for the reason or reasons why the Earth is not torn apart to the stress of differing speeds of rotation, ranging from 1,000 miles an hour at the equator and approaching 0 at the North Pole. We are told by authorities that the cosmos is a vast vacuum, and since nature hates a vacuum, we would expect that the Earth's atmosphere would be sucked into that infinite vacuum called outer space, in a moment, in a twinkling of the eye, in order to reach an equilibrium. We are told by authorities that the Earth's gravity keeps the atmosphere on the Earth's surface and prevents it from escaping into space. Yet this powerful gravity that prevents the relatively lighter atmosphere from leaking into infinite space cannot keep the relatively heavier oceans from being affected by tidal forces. Cognitive dissonance is defined as the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude change. Those who claim the Earth's gravity keeps the atmosphere attached to the Earth, yet it cannot prevent the oceans from rising, must suffer a form of cognitive dissonance, since they have inconsistent thoughts regarding the power of the Earth's gravity. We feel fortunate to live in our special world, flat or otherwise, where if one chooses, one can catch a tan without the detriments of lethal cosmic radiation. According to authorities, it is a quirk of the size and shape of our world that the lethal radiation is prevented from reaching the Earth's surface. But certain types of radiation can reach the Earth's surface. We are grateful that the fields surrounding the Earth can discriminate between lethal and non-lethal radiation, and limiting, although not eliminating, potentially dangerous levels of certain types of radiation. One of the hallmarks of modern science is the specialization among the various disciplines. These scientists are the masters of one narrow aspect of their field. For example, Egyptologists maintain that the granite monuments found in Egypt were carved with copper tools. But as any geologist, whether professional or amateur, knows, copper cannot cut granite. Since Egyptologists cannot adequately explain the creation of these monuments, this topic is rarely mentioned in peer-reviewed literature. We caution that this reticence is not limited to the sciences that lack reproducibility, as the accepted conclusions of our 4 topics can be legitimately questioned not only by scientists from at least one other discipline, but also those individuals who earnestly seek answers. As we mentioned in the introduction, the flat earth theory can be dangerous. It is always dangerous to question the long-held opinions of the powerful majority. While conspiracy theorists are trying to find the answer among various malevolent entities, we suggest a more mundane and likely explanation: specialization. We also suggest that issues confronting us have their origin in science, as science is an ambiguous word. If we define science strictly in the terms of reproducibility, then many sciences will be removed from our discussion. Since we cannot place people in a desert and expect to observe the same development of culture over the course of thousands of years, Egyptology is not a science. Since we cannot observe identical changes over millions of years, evolution is not a science. Our reasonable definition of science removes such studies as cosmology and astrophysics, as we cannot reproduce the sun and the stars. Of course, these and a multitude of disciplines are founded upon our definition of science, yet their individual evolution from science has created uncertainty due to various assumptions. For example, how can the flat Earth adherents suggest that the sun is only 3,100 miles from the Earth, while modern science suggests the distance is closer to 93 million miles? The answer lies in the curvature, or lack thereof, of the Earth. If one assumes a flat Earth, the distance from the equator to the 45th parallel is 3,100 miles. This line segment can form a square whose sides measure 3,100 miles. Therefore, the sun is 3,100 miles above the equator and 4,300 miles from the 45th parallel. If one assumes a curved Earth, the distance to the sun is approximately 93 million miles. I'll forgo the math. Under our definition of science, the measurement of the sun's distance from the Earth is not science, since there are underlying assumptions concerning the Earth's curvature or lack thereof. It greatly impacts the result, by a factor of 30,000 roughly. Interestingly, while the creation of ice cubes in a freezer for the express purpose of cooling the adult beverages of a great occultist meets our definition of science, the measurement of the sun's distance from the Earth does not. If the gentle viewer enjoyed our video, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel.